How can you create a positive culture for your team, even during difficult circumstances? Positive Coaching Alliance believes it's the responsibility of every coach to create a team culture in which honoring the game is paramount. PCA defines culture as the way we do things here. At PCA, we say that honoring the game gets to the roots of positive competition. ROOTS stands for respect for rules, opponents, officials, teammates, and self. Roots lays a foundation for coaches, athletes, and parents to think beyond themselves. The roots of positive competition start with respect for rules. Double goal coaches want to win, but they want to win the game the way it is supposed to be played. Here are strategies for respecting the rules of the game. Refuse to bend the rules to win. Teach athletes to respect the rules, even when it's possible to cheat without getting caught. Everyone involved must uphold this standard to make the game better. Don't try to get away with illegal behavior when officials are not looking. Honor the letter and the spirit of the rules. You'll always face ambiguities that the rules simply don't deal with adequately. As a double goal coach, you should follow the spirit of the rule. Don't look for ways to get around the exact wording of a rule. The roots of positive play continue with respect for opponents. Every opponent presents a unique challenge and opportunity, even a weaker opponent. A strong opponent challenges us to perform and compete well, and we should see this as a gift. Competitors should take a fierce and friendly approach. Fierce means you play as hard as you can within the rules. Friendly means that you compete without demonizing the opponent. When the competition begins, put out your best effort and play as hard as you can within the rules. If you accidentally knock someone down going for the ball, grab the loose ball and try to score. When the play is over, help your opponent up. The second O in roots is respect for officials. Officials are trained to enforce rules to keep sports from degenerating into chaos. They make mistakes just like athletes, parents, and coaches, but there's no excuse for treating officials with disrespect when you disagree with a call. How can a coach disagree with an official in a way that respects the official? Wait until a break in the action and then ask, "What did you see in that play?" This is non-confrontational and lets the official tell you what he or she saw. Use positive body language. Make sure your tone and body language show respect for the official. Avoid shouting or angry gesturing. If there's any danger of inciting fans, a double goal coach will not do anything that might add fuel to the fire. Remember that athletes, parents, and fans will mirror your actions. The T in roots stands for respect for teammates. High-performing teams constantly lift up every team member, including the less skilled or experienced members. To truly honor the game, athletes and coaches must respect teammates. Represent your team in a classy way on and off the field. For most, it comes naturally to respect one's teammates during practices and competitions. But this same attitude should carry over into the classroom and away from school as well. Remind your athletes that their behavior on or off the field impacts your team and your team's reputation. The roots of positive play also depend on respect for self. It can be tough to honor the game when your opponents do not. But coaches must lead by example and practice what they preach, no matter what the other team or its fans do. Tell your athletes, "We're going to live up to our standard. The way we compete won't change despite the other team's actions." An important thing to keep in mind is that respect for roots is a challenge for almost all coaches, sports parents, and athletes, and especially for those athletes who have been impacted by trauma. Honoring the game must be coached, just like any other sports skill or behavior. So when an athlete is disrespectful toward any of the roots, they are communicating that they need help learning how to honor the game. It is unlikely that the athlete is making a choice to behave inappropriately. It is more likely that they just don't yet have the skill to respond appropriately. Yelling at the ref or cursing at the other team is of course not something we tolerate. But we have to be able to separate the young person from their behavior. Their behavior is rooted in not having the skills not to do that, not in choosing. It's a question of skill, not will. Imagine your team is playing in a really close game, and you're happy everyone is playing so well against a strong team. But then it happens. The official makes a call against your team that seems clearly incorrect. Two of your players' parents are outraged. They immediately start screaming at the official. Your team ends up losing, barely, and after the game, the parents keep up their tirade against the official. As the coach, you know your athletes are looking at you to see how you'd react. How would you handle the situation? Feel free to pause the video and jot down your ideas. There's no single right way to handle a situation like this. Here are a few ideas. Immediately approach the parents and politely let them know their behavior does not reflect well on your team. Remove the kids from the situation. Let the official know that you will address the parents about their behavior. Debrief with your team. Remind them that there were close calls for both teams. Talk with the parents about what you expect from them in the future. Honoring the game doesn't just happen. Coaches make it happen by creating their own team culture. If you don't intentionally shape your team's culture to value honoring the game, the larger win-at-all-cost culture will likely dictate the behavior of your athletes and parents. We will share some practical tools for doing just that. One tool is to model and teach honoring the game. Your behavior speaks louder than words. If you harp at officials, your athletes will likely do the same. If you remain calm and focused, it's easier for the athletes to act just like you. PCA recommends you introduce the principle of honoring the game to your athletes. Do it early and come back to it often. It's important that you use the language of honoring the game, like roots, again and again until your athletes internalize the concept in their values and behavior. After this video, you can view a script we've put together that you can use as a guide when you talk to your athletes. We do not recommend reading directly from it. Put it in your own words. Why didn't coach talk to the ref about that terrible call? I don't get it. What happened here? The coach intentionally didn't yell when the official made a bad call, but the athletes and their parents thought the coach didn't care about winning. As you can see, it's not enough to be a good role model, because sometimes good behavior can be misinterpreted as weakness and a lack of knowledge. You'll need another tool that we call narrated modeling. It's vital for coaches to exhibit exemplary behavior that honors the game, but it's equally important for coaches to tell athletes and parents exactly what they are doing so there is no chance for them to misinterpret your behavior as weakness. Here's one way you can talk to your athletes and parents after the competition. You know that call near the end of the game? I really thought that was an incorrect call, but it's important to me that we honor the game on this team. And part of honoring the game is to show respect for the official even when we disagree, even when we are convinced that he or she made a mistake. So I didn't yell at him. I waited until a timeout, and then I went up to him and respectfully asked about the call. Now, let's look at a tool that's targeted to you, developing a self-control routine. No matter how much you intend to honor the game, there will be moments as a coach when you feel yourself losing your temper. A dysregulated adult can't regulate a child. So how can you keep your cool when you start to get upset? Create a specific routine that helps you control your emotions, and share this routine with your fellow coaches so they can support you. Here are some ideas for a self-control routine. Count to 5 in your head. Take a deep breath. Check in with your assistant coach. Turn calmly away from the field. Use self-talk like, I am a role model. I can rise above this. What time are we supposed to arrive for the game? Why isn't my daughter getting more playing time? Do those questions sound familiar? They'll be a lot easier to handle if you use positive coaching tools to help parents honor the game. First, we'll talk about the parent-guardian letter, pledge, and meeting agenda. After this video, you can download a sample of each one. Here is what you can accomplish with these tools. Share your coaching philosophy with parents and guardians. It can be as simple as this. I'm a double-goal coach who cares about winning and about helping my athletes reach their potential on and off the field. And that means that I want our team to be one that honors the game and has fun. Use the parent-guardian meeting to have positive interactions with all parents at the start of the season. Leave time for them to ask you any questions they have before the season gets underway. Talk about logistical issues like practice and competition schedules, what time players should arrive at competitions, and how to contact each other. A large percentage of parent miscommunication is about playing time. It's a good idea to explain your playing time approach now. For some teams, this may be that everyone gets a chance to play in every competition, and for others, it may be based more on current skill level. The second tool is to appoint a parent as a culture keeper to help reinforce that honoring the game is a paramount value on their team. What's the role of the culture keeper? A culture keeper helps shape the culture of a youth sports team or organization. Culture is simply the way we do things here. The bedrock of a positive youth sports culture is honoring the game. What does a culture keeper do? They get to know other parents on the team and spread the word about honoring the game to parents and fans on the sidelines. The culture keeper consistently respects the officials and opponents in his or her own actions, no matter what. After you build a strong foundation of honoring the game for your team, will everything always go smoothly? Of course not. There will still be problems. So the last tool we'll talk about is intervention strategies. Be ready to nip problems in the bud before they escalate. Think about it. It's like a match dropped in a dry forest. You can put out the fire pretty easily when the match first drops, but if you don't take action right away, the blaze can grow out of control. Here are some tips for intervening on the sidelines. Stay calm. Don't add fuel to the fire. Respect personal space and avoid getting in someone's face. Invoke a higher standard. Remind people to honor the game. Empathize. Recognize that it's not always easy to keep calm on the sidelines. Next up, you can view and download a guide on how to intervene when people dishonor the game.